My 6-year-old daughter Emma had big dreams for her first lemonade stand. She was going to make enough money to buy something special, she said, but wouldn't tell me what. After sitting in the sun all day and earning only $3, she packed up her supplies with tears in her eyes. I thought that was the end of her entrepreneurial dreams. I had no idea our mailman was about to turn those tears into the most incredible day of her young life. Before we dive in, tell me in the comments, what's the sweetest thing a child has ever done that surprised you? And if stories about community kindness and kids with big hearts make your day better, follow this page so you don't miss the next one. Emma had been planning her lemonade stand for weeks. She drew signs in crayon, practiced her customer voice in the mirror, and insisted on making the lemonade from scratch. Real lemons, real sugar, stirred with the wooden spoon that was almost as tall as she was. "Mommy, I need to make lots of money," she told me as we set up the card table on our front lawn that Saturday morning. "It's for something really important." "What's it for, sweetheart?" She shook her head, pigtails bouncing. "It's a secret, but it's really, really important." I helped her arrange the paper cups, tape her hand-drawn signs to the table legs, and set up the umbrella to keep her shaded. Her signs were adorable. Fresh lemonade, 50 cents, with a backwards N and a smiley face that took up half the poster board. "How much do you think I'll make, Mummy?" she asked, bouncing on her toes with excitement. "Well, let's see. If you sell maybe 20 cups today, that would be $10. Her eyes went wide. 10 whole dollars? That's so much. I didn't have the heart to tell her that our quiet suburban street didn't get much foot traffic, and most of our neighbors were either at work or busy with weekend errands. But her enthusiasm was infectious, and I found myself hoping she'd prove me wrong. The first hour passed with no customers. Emma sat patiently in her plastic chair, waving at every car that drove by, calling out "fresh lemonade" to joggers who smiled and waved but didn't stop. Her smile never wavered, but I could see her checking the empty money jar every few minutes. Around noon, Mrs. Peterson from next door came over and bought a cup. "Delicious," she declared, though I could see her pucker slightly at the tartness. Emma beamed and carefully placed the 2 quarters in her jar. "That's 50 cents, Mummy. Only $9.50 to go." The afternoon stretched on. A few more neighbors stopped by. Mr. Chen bought 2 cups. The teenage girl from down the street bought 1 and left a $1 tip. But by 4 p.m., Emma had only made $3.50, and I could see the disappointment creeping into her face. "Maybe people aren't thirsty today," she said quietly, stirring the lemonade that had been sitting in the sun for hours. "Maybe tomorrow will be better," I suggested, but she shook her head. "I needed the money today," she said, and for the first time, her voice cracked. It was supposed to be today. We packed up the supplies in silence. Emma carried her jar of coins like it weighed 100 pounds, and when we got inside, she went straight to her room. I found her later, lying on her bed, staring at the ceiling. "You know what, Em? $3.50 is pretty good for a first try. It's not enough. It's not nearly enough." That night, I heard her crying softly in her room, and it broke my heart. I'd seen her disappointed before, when it rained on a planned zoo trip, when her favorite stuffed animal got lost. But this felt different, deeper, like she'd been carrying the weight of something much bigger than a lemonade stand. Tom Rodriguez had been our mailman for 8 years. He was the kind of postal worker who knew everyone's names, remembered birthdays, and always had a dog treat in his pocket for the neighborhood pets. Emma adored him. She'd run to the window every afternoon around 2 p.m. to wave when he came up our walkway. That Saturday, Tom was working overtime to catch up on packages, and he arrived just as we were packing up the lemonade stand. Emma was trying not to cry, but her disappointment was written all over her face. "Hey there, Emma," Tom called out, adjusting his mailbag. "How'd the lemonade business go today?" Emma looked up at him with watery eyes. "Not very good, Mr. Tom. I only made $3.50. Tom set down his bag and walked over to the table where we were stacking cups. $3.50? That sounds pretty good to me. What were you hoping to make?" "A lot more." Emma said quietly. I needed to make a lot more. Well, what's the lemonade like? Is it any good? Emma perked up a little. It's really good. I made it myself with real lemons and everything. Want to try some? I'd love to. Emma poured him a cup with shaky hands, watching anxiously as he took a sip. Tom's eyebrows shot up in genuine surprise. Emma, this is fantastic. This is the best lemonade I've had in years. Sweet, but not too sweet, and I can taste the real lemons. Emma's face lit up. Really? You're not just saying that. I never lie about lemonade, Tom said seriously, pulling out a dollar bill. This is definitely worth more than 50 cents. As Emma carefully made change, Tom crouched down to her level. Can I ask you something? What did you need the money for? Maybe I can help you figure out how to sell more lemonade. Emma glanced at me, then back at Tom. It's for my friend at school. She needs something really important, but I want to surprise her. Tom nodded seriously, like he was discussing a major business deal. That's very thoughtful of you, Emma. Your friend is lucky to have you looking out for her. But I didn't make enough, and I don't know if I can do this again tomorrow. It's really hard when nobody comes. Tom was quiet for a moment, thinking. Then he smiled. You know what, Emma? Sometimes the best businesses just need the right customers to find them. Maybe your customers just didn't know you were here today. How would they find out? Well, Tom said, standing up and shouldering his mailbag, sometimes word of mouth is the best advertising. You never know. Maybe tomorrow will be completely different. He waved goodbye and continued down the street, but I noticed he was walking a little slower than usual, like he was thinking about something. That evening, as I tucked Emma into bed, she was still clutching her jar of coins. Mommy, do you think Mr. Tom was right, that maybe tomorrow will be different? I don't know, sweetheart, but I think it's wonderful that you want to help your friend. That's the most important part. I just wish I knew how to make more people come, she said sleepily. Maybe they will, I said, kissing her forehead. Sometimes good things happen when we least expect them. What I didn't know was that Tom Rodriguez was about to prove that sometimes good things happen because someone makes them happen. As Tom continued his route that afternoon, Emma's disappointed face stayed with him. He'd been delivering mail to families for nearly 2 decades, and he'd seen plenty of kids with lemonade stands. Most of them were just playing, having fun on a summer day. But something about Emma's earnestness, her genuine desire to help a friend, had touched him. At his next stop, the Johnsons' house, Tom found himself thinking about Emma's words. I needed to make a lot more. Not wanted, needed. There was a difference, and Tom recognized it. He finished his route and went home to his own family, his wife Maria, and their teenage son Carlos. Over dinner, he told them about Emma's lemonade stand. She was so disappointed, he said, pushing food around his plate. But she wasn't upset for herself. She was upset because she couldn't help her friend. What kind of help does her friend need? Maria asked. I don't know exactly. She just said she wanted to surprise her friend with something important. Carlos looked up from his phone. Dad, you've got that look. What look? The look you get when you're about to do something nice for someone, Maria said, smiling. I've seen it before. Tom grinned sheepishly. I was thinking, what if Emma's problem isn't her lemonade? What if it's just that people don't know about it? What are you thinking? Maria asked, though her tone suggested she already knew. I deliver mail to every house on that street. What if I just mentioned the lemonade stand to a few neighbors? Dad, that would be pretty nice of you, Carlos said. That evening, Tom sat at his kitchen table with a stack of small notepaper and a pen. He wrote the same message over and over in his neat handwriting. Hi, this is Tom, your mailman. Yesterday, I met a wonderful 6-year-old named Emma who lives on your street. She set up a lemonade stand to raise money to help a friend at school, but only a few people stopped by. She was heartbroken. If you have a chance tomorrow, Sunday, and could stop by for a cup of lemonade, it would mean the world to her. She's at 3rd Street, and her lemonade is honestly the best I've ever tasted.
Thanks for being such a great neighborhood. Tom. He folded each note carefully and put them in his mailbag for Sunday's route. It wasn't part of his job, but Tom had learned over the years that sometimes the most important deliveries weren't official mail. Sunday morning, Tom was up early, thinking about Emma. He wondered if she'd set up her stand again, or if yesterday's disappointment had been too much. He hoped she'd give it another try. As Tom got ready for his Sunday route, he felt a mixture of excitement and nervousness. He'd never done anything quite like this before. But something about Emma's determination to help her friend had inspired him to step outside his usual role as just the mailman. He had no idea that his simple act of kindness was about to create something magical. Emma was reluctant to set up her lemonade stand again. She sat at the breakfast table, stirring her cereal without eating it, glancing occasionally at the card table and supplies we'd left on the back porch. "I don't know, Mommy," she said. "What if nobody comes again?" "Well, what if somebody does come? You'll never know unless you try." "But what if they don't?" I sat down beside her. "Then we'll pack up again, and we'll figure out another way to help your friend. But Emma, sometimes good things happen when we're brave enough to try again." She considered this, then nodded slowly. "Okay, but just for a little while."
We set up the stand again, this time with fresh lemonade and new signs. Emma had insisted on making the signs neater this time, practicing her letters on scrap paper first. The result was still charmingly imperfect. Fresh lemonade, 50 cents, with a son wearing sunglasses and a big smile. At exactly 9 a.m., Emma took her position in the plastic chair, but her enthusiasm from yesterday was gone. She sat quietly, occasionally calling out, "Lemonade!" in a half-hearted voice when a car passed by. Then, at 9:15, Mrs. Patterson from 3 houses down came walking up our driveway. "Good morning, Emma," she called out cheerfully. "I heard you make excellent lemonade." Emma perked up immediately. "You did? Who told you?" "A little birdie," Mrs. Patterson said with a wink, pulling out a dollar bill. "I'll take 2 cups, please. One for me and one for my husband." As Emma carefully poured the lemonade, I noticed Mr. and Mrs. Kim from across the street walking over with their twin boys. "We heard there's a lemonade entrepreneur on our street. The boys have been asking for lemonade all morning." Emma's eyes were getting wider by the minute. "Really? You heard about my lemonade stand?" "Oh, yes, we heard it's the best lemonade in the neighborhood." By 9:30, there were 8 people in line. By 10 a.m., the line stretched to the sidewalk. Emma was frantically pouring cups, her face glowing with excitement and disbelief. "Mommy," she whispered urgently during a brief lull, "what's happening? Why is everyone coming today?" "I don't know, sweetheart, but you better keep pouring." The customers kept coming. Families with children, elderly couples, teenagers, even people I'd never seen before who said they'd heard about the lemonade stand from neighbors. Everyone was incredibly kind, many leaving tips, and several people bought multiple cups. "This is for my office," one woman said, buying 6 cups. "My coworkers are going to love this." A man in a jogging outfit stopped by and bought a cup, then came back an hour later with his wife and kids. I told them they had to try this lemonade. It's the real deal. By noon, Emma had sold over 150 cups of lemonade. She was exhausted but exhilarated, her money jar overflowing with bills and coins. I was amazed and touched by the community response, but also puzzled. How had word spread so quickly? The answer came around 1 p.m. when Mrs. Chen stopped by with her grandchildren. As Emma poured their lemonade, Mrs. Bolton smiled at me. "You know, your mailman is quite something. Tom left the sweetest note in our mailbox this morning about Emma's lemonade stand, said she was trying to help a friend and had been disappointed by the turnout." My jaw dropped. "Tom left notes?" "Oh, yes. I think he left one for everyone on the street. My neighbor, Mrs. Rogers, called me this morning saying she'd gotten the same note. We all decided we had to come support this little entrepreneur." I looked over at Emma, who was carefully counting change for the next customer, completely absorbed in her work. Tom had done this. Our mailman had quietly orchestrated this entire miracle.
That's incredible, I said, feeling tears prick my eyes. He didn't have to do that. The best people never do things because they have to. They do them because they want to. And that note was so sweet. He really seemed to care about Emma's feelings.
As the afternoon continued, more neighbors mentioned Tom's note. Each person had been touched by his simple message about a little girl who wanted to help a friend. Some had even shared the note with friends from other neighborhoods, which explained why I'd seen unfamiliar faces in the line. By 3 p.m., Emma had made over $200. She was sitting behind her table, staring at the overflowing money jar with wide eyes. "Mommy," she whispered, "is this real? Did I really make all this money?" "You sure did, sweetheart. You and your amazing lemonade." "And Mr. Tom," she added thoughtfully. "Mrs. Bolton told me he wrote notes about my lemonade stand. That's why everyone came today." I nodded, my heart full. That was very kind of him, wasn't it? "The kindest," Emma agreed. "I want to thank him when he comes tomorrow." Monday afternoon, Emma was waiting by the window at 2 p.m. sharp, watching for Tom's mail truck. When she spotted him coming up the street, she ran outside, still wearing the apron we'd made for her lemonade business. Mr. Tom," she called, running down the driveway. Tom looked up from our mailbox, a smile spreading across his face. "Well, if it isn't the most successful lemonade entrepreneur in the neighborhood, I heard you had quite a day yesterday." "I did. I made over $200. Emma bounced on her toes. "And Mrs. Bolton told me it was because of you. You wrote notes to everyone." Tom's cheeks turned slightly pink. "Well, I just thought people should know about your excellent lemonade." "But why did you do that? You didn't have to." Tom crouched down to Emma's level, the same way he had on Saturday when she'd been crying. "Emma, do you remember what you told me about wanting to help your friend?" Emma nodded. "Well, when I see someone with a good heart trying to do something kind, I want to help if I can. Your lemonade really was delicious, and I thought other people should get to try it too." "You're the nicest person ever," Emma said solemnly. "I want to give you something." She ran back to the house and returned with a small envelope. "I wrote you a thank you card, and there's something else inside." Tom opened the envelope carefully. Inside was a crayon drawing of a mail truck with a smiling stick figure driver, and underneath, in Emma's careful 6-year-old handwriting, "Thank you, Mr. Tom, for helping me help my friend. You are a hero." Also in the envelope was a $20 bill. "Emma, this is beautiful, but I can't take your money," Tom said gently. "Please," Emma said. "You helped me make all that money. You should have some too." "How about this? I'll keep this wonderful card, but you keep the money for your friend. That's what you earned it for, right?" Emma's face lit up. "Yes, I finally can buy what I wanted to buy." I had been watching from the porch, and now I couldn't contain my curiosity any longer. "Emma, you've been so secretive about what you wanted to buy. Can you tell us now?" Emma looked at Tom, then at me, then back at Tom. "It's for my friend Lily at school. She told me something really sad." "What did she tell you?" Tom asked gently. "She said she's never gotten a birthday present before. Ever. Not even from her family." Emma's voice got smaller. "She said her family doesn't have money for presents, and she's never had a birthday party or anything." My heart clenched. I thought about Emma's birthday parties, the decorations, the cake, the pile of presents from family and friends. The idea of a child never experiencing that joy was heartbreaking. "Her birthday is next week," Emma continued, "and I wanted to buy her the most beautiful present ever so she would know what it feels like to get a birthday gift." Tom was quiet for a moment, and I could see he was as moved as I was. "That's the most thoughtful thing I've ever heard, Emma. What kind of present were you thinking of getting her?" "Well, she really likes art. She draws pictures all the time, but she only has those broken crayons from school. I wanted to buy her a big box of new crayons and colored pencils and maybe some pretty paper to draw on." "That sounds perfect," I said, my voice thick with emotion. "And maybe a stuffed animal too," Emma added. "She told me she's never had one of those either." Tom stood up, and I could see his eyes were bright with unshed tears. "Emma, your friend is very lucky to have you." "I'm lucky to have friends like you and Mr. Tom. Emma said. You helped me help her. The next day, I took Emma to the toy store to pick out Lily's birthday present. With her lemonade money, she was able to buy everything she dreamed of: a deluxe art set with 64 crayons, colored pencils, markers, and a sketch pad, a soft, cuddly teddy bear, and even some sparkly stickers and a birthday card. Can we wrap it really pretty, Mommy? Emma asked as we loaded everything into the car. Of course, sweetheart, we'll make it the most beautiful present ever. That evening, we spent an hour wrapping everything in bright paper with ribbons and bows. Emma insisted on making her own gift tag, writing "Happy Birthday, Lily" in her best handwriting. The next morning at school, Emma could barely contain her excitement. I walked her to her classroom, carrying the wrapped presents, and watched as she practically vibrated with anticipation. "Mrs. Johnson," Emma called to her teacher, "it's Lily's birthday today, and I brought her presents." Mrs. Johnson looked surprised. "That's very thoughtful, Emma. Lily, come here, sweetie." Lily was a small girl with dark hair and shy eyes. When she saw the pile of wrapped presents, her mouth fell open. "These are for me?" she whispered. "Yes, happy birthday," Emma said, bouncing on her toes. I watched as Lily carefully unwrapped each gift, her eyes growing wider with each item. When she opened the art set, she gasped. "These are all mine? All these colors?" "All yours," Emma confirmed. "And look, there's more." When Lily unwrapped the teddy bear, she hugged it tight and started crying. Not sad tears, but overwhelmed happy tears. "Thank you, Emma. Thank you so much," she said softly. The whole classroom gathered around to see the presents, and Mrs. Johnson had to wipe her own eyes. "This is the kindest thing I've ever seen," she told me quietly. But the story didn't end there. Word of Emma's lemonade stand and her generous gift spread throughout the school. Other parents heard about Lily's situation and quietly reached out to her family, offering help and friendship. The school counselor connected the family with resources they needed. And Tom? A month later, our neighborhood threw a surprise birthday party to thank him for his years of kindness. Emma insisted on providing the lemonade, free of charge this time. "Mr. Tom, this is my thank you lemonade. It's made with extra love." As I watched my daughter serve lemonade to the neighbors who had rallied around her dream, I realized that Tom's simple act of kindness had created ripples far beyond what any of us could have imagined. He'd helped a little girl help her friend, but in doing so, he'd reminded an entire community of the power of small acts of love. And every time Tom delivers our mail, Emma runs to the window to wave, because she learned that heroes don't always wear capes. Sometimes they wear postal uniforms and carry bags full of letters and kindness. The best part? Lily and Emma are still best friends, and Lily's birthday parties, now an annual tradition, always feature Emma's lemonade and Tom's presents, because some stories are too beautiful to end. A heartwarming story about community kindness and the ripple effects of one small act of love. What's the kindest thing a stranger has ever done for you or your family? Share your story in the comments below. If this story of childhood generosity and community spirit warmed your heart, please hit like and subscribe for more uplifting stories that restore faith in humanity. Don't forget to click the notification bell so you never miss an upload. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.